The halls of the Imperial Palace on the planet Virexen glowed with cold silver light. Members of the High Council of the Virexen Imperial Council stood in silence as the decree was announced. For diplomatic balance, the Chancellor hissed, the human coalition will be granted a ceremonial guard position within the royal court. A ripple of amusement spread across the alien nobles. Humans were new to the galactic stage, short-lived, emotional, fragile. Perfect for symbolic roles. That was how Commander Elias Ward arrived. No grand armor. No advanced alien exosuit. Just matte black human combat gear and eyes that scanned every corner of the throne chamber like he was mapping a battlefield. Princess Kilira of Virexen studied him carefully. Unlike the others, she did not laugh. "You are alone?" she asked through the translator field. "Yes, Your Highness," Elias replied calmly. "One is enough." The nobles exchanged amused glances. What they did not know, what the official diplomatic file did not mention, was that Elias Ward had commanded Earth's last orbital defense during the siege of Titanfall. He had held the line against an armada 3 times larger than Virexen's current fleet. And he had survived. Hours after his assignment, palace sensors detected something unexpected, an unidentified fleet emerging from hyperspace at the edge of Virexen territory. Panic spread through the command towers. Warships scrambled. Defensive grids activated. In the chaos, the High Council argued. But Elias Ward simply looked toward the stars outside the palace window. "How many ships?" he asked. 17, replied the tactical officer. Elias gave a slow nod. "Good," he said quietly. "That means they're testing you." For the first time, the alien nobles stopped laughing. Red warning lights pulsed across the command chamber of the Virexen Imperial Council. Outside the panoramic viewport, 17 enemy cruisers formed a precise attack formation. They carried Dominion signatures, a tactical officer whispered. "This is not a probe, it is a statement." The High Council erupted into overlapping arguments. Deploy the Royal Fleet. Activate planetary shields. Open negotiations. Princess Kilira turned toward the only calm figure in the room. Commander Elias Ward stood with his arms folded, watching the enemy formation like a chessboard. "You have seen this before," the princess said. "Yes," Elias replied. "Different species. Same mistake." The Chancellor scoffed. "You are a ceremonial guard, human. This is not your war." Elias' eyes didn't leave the display. "With respect, Chancellor, it becomes my war the moment your highness is in danger." A transmission burst through the chamber, distorted, sharp. "Virexen Empire," the enemy commander declared, "power down your defenses. Surrender your royal authority. Resistance will be erased." Several council members visibly trembled. Elias stepped closer to the tactical console. "Your fleet spacing is wrong," he muttered. The officer blinked. "What?" "They're overconfident. Tight formation. Shared shield harmonics. If one collapses, it cascades." Silence fell. "You can see that?" the princess asked softly. Elias nodded. "They don't expect resistance. Especially not from a symbolic human." The enemy fleet began charging main cannons. The palace vibrated as the first energy surge rippled through orbit. "Commander Ward," Kilira said, her voice steady now. "What would Earth do?" A faint smile touched his face. "Earth," he replied. "Earth hits first." He reached for the command interface. "Give me control of your defense grid." The council hesitated. Outside, the enemy weapons flared to full power. Inside, the human warrior waited. For 3 long seconds, the chamber of the Virexen Imperial Council was silent. Then Princess Kilira spoke. "Grant him control." Protests erupted, but it was too late. The defense grid interface shifted to human access mode. Alien symbols reorganized under Elias Ward's rapid commands as he recalibrated firing arcs, shield harmonics, and orbital satellite positions. "You are rerouting power away from the palace," a counselor cried. "Yes," Elias replied evenly. "Because they expect you to defend what you value most." On the main display, the 17 Dominion cruisers began their coordinated firing sequence. "Now," Elias whispered. Instead of raising shields, Virexen's outer defense satellites powered down, appearing vulnerable. The enemy fleet advanced. "Foolish primitives," the Dominion commander transmitted. "They collapse already." Elias' finger hovered over the command trigger. "Shared harmonics," he reminded the tactical officer. "Watch the center ship." The moment the Dominion fleet entered optimal proximity, Elias executed the command. Every dormant satellite reactivated at once, broadcasting a narrowband frequency pulse directly at the lead cruiser. For half a second, nothing happened. Then the cruiser's shields flickered. Because of the shared harmonic link, every ship in formation flickered with it. "That's impossible," the alien officer gasped. Elias didn't blink. "Fire." A concentrated planetary barrage struck the center vessel. Its shields collapsed, and the cascading feedback tore through the entire formation. One cruiser exploded. Then another. Panic fractured the once perfect Dominion lines as ships scattered, colliding with their own disrupted shield waves. Within minutes, 17 ships became burning debris across Virexen orbit. Silence filled the chamber. The same nobles who once laughed now stared at the human guardian as if seeing him for the first time. Elias stepped back from the console. "They weren't testing you," he said calmly. He looked at the princess. "They were testing me." And somewhere beyond the debris field, something far larger had just taken notice. The debris of 17 Dominion cruisers burned like falling stars across Virexen's orbit. Inside the war chamber of the Virexen Imperial Council, silence felt heavier than any explosion. "They're retreating," a sensor officer confirmed. Remaining Dominion signatures have vanished into hyperspace. A wave of relieved whispers filled the room. Elias Ward did not celebrate. "Zoom out," he ordered quietly. The tactical display expanded beyond the system's outer rim. There, barely detectable, was a gravitational distortion ripple. Massive. Controlled. Princess Kalira's voice lowered. "That is not a retreat pattern." "No," Elias replied. "That's reconnaissance confirmation." As if summoned by his words, a deep frequency transmission pulsed across every channel, too powerful to block. "This is high command of the Dominion Ascendancy." The chamber lights dimmed as the message overrode all systems. "You have demonstrated capability beyond projected parameters. The human asset is identified." Murmurs spread. "Identified?" The transmission continued. "Prepare for corrective engagement." The distortion ripple intensified. Space itself bent. Virexen's sensors struggled to calculate mass readings. "By the stars," a counselor whispered. "That is not a fleet." On the screen, hyperspace tore open, revealing a single vessel dwarfing moons. A command dreadnought. Elias exhaled slowly. "That," he said, "is what they send when they stop testing." The princess stepped beside him. "Can we defeat it?" Elias' expression remained unreadable. "No." The council froze. "But," he added calmly, "we don't have to defeat it." He turned toward the communications array. "We just have to make sure it survives long enough to carry a message." Outside, the massive Dominion dreadnought advanced, casting a shadow over an entire planet. Inside, one human warrior began preparing a plan that had once saved Earth itself. The Dominion dreadnought eclipsed Virexen's sun, its hull stretching across kilometers of reinforced alloy and weapon arrays. Planetary shields strained under the mere presence of its gravitational wake. Inside the command chamber of the Virexen Imperial Council, fear was no longer hidden. "That vessel could crack our core," the Chancellor whispered. Elias Ward stood still, studying the tactical data. Correct, he said. It could. Princess Kalira faced him. Then why are you calm? Because overwhelming force is expensive, Elias replied. They didn't bring that ship just to win. They brought it to erase an example. On screen, the Dominion High Command appeared, towering, armored figures framed by cold starlight. Human asset, the distorted voice echoed. Surrender yourself. Virexen will be spared. The chamber fell silent. Several counselors looked at Elias. It would be logical. One human for an empire. Elias stepped forward toward the transmission array. You misunderstand, he said evenly. I am not the threat. A pause. Earth is. He activated a hidden channel. Moments later, Dominion long-range sensors began screaming with new readings. Hyperspace distortions. Multiple. Fast. The tactical officer's eyes widened. Those signatures, they're not Virexen. Elias' voice was steady. You scanned me, he said to the Dominion commander. You identified me. On the display, dozens of new warp signatures ignited beyond the system's edge. You should have scanned what I represent. The Dominion dreadnought shifted slightly, first hint of hesitation. Because the incoming signals were unmistakable. Human fleet architecture. And they were arriving in force. The princess looked at Elias. You called them? Elias gave a faint nod. No, he corrected softly. I warned them. Beyond the stars, engines burned brighter. The real war was about to begin. Space tore open. One human warship emerged. Then 5. Then 20. Within seconds, an entire battle formation materialized beyond Virexen's outer orbit, sleek hulls, adaptive armor plating, weapon arrays glowing with restrained power. The Dominion dreadnought recalculated. And recalculated again. Inside the chamber of the Virexen Imperial Council, stunned silence gave way to disbelief. Identification confirmed, a sensor officer whispered. Human Coalition Fleet. The Dominion High Command's image flickered. You escalate beyond strategic necessity, it declared. Elias Ward stepped forward. No, he replied calmly. You did. A new transmission opened, this time not from Elias, but from the lead human vessel. This is Admiral Reyes of the Terran Defense Accord, the voice resonated across every channel. You engaged a protected world under human diplomatic guard. Stand down or be neutralized. The Dominion dreadnought powered weapons. Human ships did the same. For a long moment, two civilizations balanced on the edge of annihilation. Then Elias spoke one final time. You came to erase an example, he said. So here it is. He gestured toward the expanding human fleet. Humanity does not conquer for pride. We do not threaten for spectacle. But if you endanger those under our protection. His voice hardened. We respond. Sensor alarms flared across the Dominion command deck. They were outnumbered now, not in ships, but in resolve. Seconds stretched. Then, slowly, the dreadnought's main cannons powered down. Hyperspace engines charged. Without another word, the massive vessel retreated, space sealing behind it. Silence returned to Virexen orbit. The princess turned to Elias. You were never just a guard. Elias allowed himself a faint smile. No, Your Highness. Outside, the human fleet held formation, silent, disciplined, watching the stars. Because the galaxy had just learned something important. Humans may accept a ceremonial role. But they never stand guard alone.